Alrighty, folks, I think it's time to talk about what the three amigos are doing right now in this real estate market. You've heard me talk about for the better part of 6 months the fact that we are in a buyer's market in much of the country, not everywhere. But at the end of the day, there are opportunities all the time. And in the last video we did, we heard that Dion's about to go shopping. So we're going to start with him for this one. Dion, what are you doing, if anything different, as we are in this buyer's market?
Well, first, I'm paying attention. That's the thing I think a
Good
lot
point.
of people skip. I'm talking with a couple people right now who are selling a place. One's on the East Coast, not too far from Matt. She was traveling, trying to sell a place, had some issues. If you purchased a property in the last 8 years, this is my opinion, in the last 8 years, we've mostly had a seller's market. There are some markets where it might be different based on supply and demand, but for the most part, the buyer paid closing costs. The buyer paid inspection. The buyer paid everything.
Shit, waived inspections.
Waived, right? They had a couple of years there where people were waiving finance contingencies and saying, "I'll pay the gap of appraisal." And so now people are selling properties. If they purchased in the last 8 years, their mindset is, this is how it works.
Yeah,
the buyer pays all of this. Well, the shock factor is the buyers want concessions. They want repairs. They want reductions. They want closing costs offered. They want you to buy down the rate. And the difference is, if enough of the buyers are expecting that, then the sellers have to anticipate that, and they're not. They're the ones that reached out. Is that this my agent is so horrible? They told me that I have to cover this for closing, and I'm like, well, what is that? What are most of the sellers in your market doing? What is normal for your market?
Yeah, this is. You're absolutely right. One of the biggest changes in lots of markets is the switch from sellers to buyers. And you're so right. The last 5 to 8 years have been one way and so skewed. In fact, I would argue, at least in the markets I watch, it hasn't been a buyer's market for 12 years.
Yeah.
So unless you've been in the game a long time, you don't know any different. Matt, what are you seeing out there?
So talk to a lot of agents all the time. We got an interesting development that I'll announce probably in a couple of weeks when one of the ink is dry, but talk to agents all the time. And what was been really interesting is that, median minus still continues to move. So median sales price and below still continues to move. Once you get 20% below the median, you're actually seeing bidding wars. Bidding wars, 20% below the median. And so when you're 20% below the median, you're talking in our area, it's about, $480,000 where we are is the median. So you're just under, your high threes, and they're actually seeing bidding wars and stuff get pushed to over 4. The stuff right at median, it's moving more slowly. The move up buyers, so this in our area, like the 6, the 7s, and the 8s, stuff is still selling. You're seeing price reductions in that price range in the 6, 7, 8s. You're seeing price reductions there. However, it's still people making massive profits in 3 or 4 years, the ones that are selling. So while they're doing a price reduction, everybody wants to light their hair on fire because they just saw $100,000 price reduction on Zillow. I've got bad news. That dude's still making $200 in 4 years for living in a house. And now it's exempt tax wise. So he's going to get a nice big fatty of a check. The stuff that's over $1 million, that's what's sitting. The stuff that's over $1 million,
the 2x the median, that stuff's not moving.
That stuff's. What are you seeing in Vegas? Same?
So I think Vegas is a little bit unique. And I actually talked to Brian Lebo about this, both on my show and just him and I one-on-one. He's like, Mike, you know what's really weird? He's like, the stuff 3 million and above, and just for comparison's sake, that's like 8 times the median here in Vegas, or 6 times, right? So let's call it 500 grand rounding, 500. The stuff 3 million and above is moving.
Yeah.
Right. But he says the roughest part of the market's the $1 million to $3 million. Yeah. That's where the new inventory is coming. That's where the new houses are competing with the existing homes. He's like, the 3 million above, those are all unicorns, right? Yeah. Builders aren't really building brand new stuff. So it's all unicorn stuff. So he says that's really weird. And just like you, below the median in clean.
Yeah.
White hot.
Yes.
Right. FHA ready, white hot. But there is a whole kind of above that. The non-pretty stuff is sitting. For a long time. So, when I think about Vegas, I actually see more opportunity now in my old market, in my new market. I'm not really sure what to focus on, which is weird.
Yeah.
right? So I'll tell you everything that I'm looking at right now because I don't need to do lots of deals. I just want to do one.
Sure.
So we'll go to Vegas first. So my buy box for Vegas has been the same for 6 months. Right around the median home price, so call it 450 to 500. Old, tired, right? Not updated.
Yep.
Probably on the market 45 days or longer because I'm going to write a disrespectful offer. Non-HOA, I don't want HOA, and on a lot that I could add what they call here a casita, right? Which would be called an ADU somewhere else.
Sure.
So that's what I'm looking for. And I'm starting to see some of those opportunities. They're still not priced right. But I'm seeing opportunities. Number two, I talked about buying something seller financing in Vegas. And I've actually had like 5 or 6 people in Vegas reach out to me just because of this YouTube channel. And we got really close on one house. I'll give the numbers rough and tough. I wanted to pay $350. She wanted $415, which was the number. I wanted nothing higher than $1,000 payment. She wanted something more like $1,200, $1,250. I wanted no less than a 15-year term. My balloon, she wanted 5. Right. These are kind of the variables.
Sure.
So where we got to is she was okay. She ended up being okay, not happy, but willing to take the $1,000. Why do I need $1,000? Because I need cash flow, right? It's no secret. She was willing to go 15 years, but where it broke down is she still wanted 415, and the highest I would go was 400. So we're pretty close.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things.
Very.
And again, this will be interest only. I'm only going to put $40K down. So think about this. So my offer, from memory, was $400K, $40K down, which is 10%.
Yep.
And then she's going to carry $360 interest only for 15 years at $1,000 a payment. I don't know what the exact interest is, but that's like 3% ish.
Yeah.
Right. So below market. And I cash flow, let's call it 400 after reserves, PM, all that stuff. So in my mind, why would I do that deal? So 400 times 12 is 4,800, 4,800, and again, it's basically move-in ready. So it's about a 10% return. But where this gets sexy for me is I'll do a cost segregation study on this. I'll get about 100K, maybe 120. Let's just call it 100K off my taxes, which will be a net benefit of about 30 grand cash. Yeah. So when I do the full math, I'm only into the property 10 grand. Let's call it 15 grand after closing costs and all of that. And I'm pulling 4,800 out. That's like a 30% return.
Yep.
So that's exciting to me. It isn't an HOA, but the HOA is $49. So there's that deal. The one that I just started looking at, and I have a phone call later today with a builder, like a Lennar. So I don't know if you guys saw this, but Lance Lambert put out a note that Lennar created a website for investors, right? Come buy our houses.
Yeah.
They attempted to put cap rates and all this other stuff. So I reached out to Lennar and said, what if? Like there's one community that's a mile from where I live right now. They have 3 houses in that community. Let's just say they're worth 350. They're asking 350. And oh, by the way, I've bought from Lennar before, and I know what I got last time.
Yep.
So I reached out to them, and they've set up a call later today. I said, what happens if one person bought all 3 of those houses? Can I get a volume discount?
Yep.
Second, just like the house that I'm talking to you from right now, I want you to carry it. I want you to do the mortgage, right? They have a mortgage brand.
They do.
And, I asked for, I don't know that I will get, I asked for 30-year 399, right? Because again, I want the interest rate to be below the cap rate. Otherwise it's negative leverage, and I don't want that.
Correct.
So, basically what I told them, and we're going to talk about it later, is I'll buy all the houses for 300, not 350. I'll put 20% down because again, it's going to be an investor loan. So I want to make them a loan they could sell. So I'm not asking for any crazy low down.
Sure.
And so again, 900 grand for 3 houses that pencil at $1,050,000, and 399 instead of what I would probably get today, 6.5, and 20% down. So, I don't know if that'll go anywhere. Again, I have a call at 1:30, but I'm looking everywhere because I only need to do one deal and I want it to be crazy good. So that's what I'm working on.
It might not go right now, but it might go the second week of October. right
It
around
might.
earnings.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe in September, right? When they leave those last 3 sales to post in their October earnings.
Yes.
So I don't know. I'm looking everywhere because it's fun again. It's been a long time since I'm like, oh, I see a deal there. I see a deal there. I see a deal there. So I don't know. Dion, sorry, that was long.
That's okay. Here's the problem for the viewers.
Sure.
Right. There's a lot of people who want to buy a place.
Sure.
They're on YouTube. They're consuming content to say, okay, how do I buy a place? How do I know I buy a good place? Then we hear it's almost a buyer's market in more markets than it has been, right? So it's
For sure.
the pendulum swinging to the buyer's side. So people get excited and they think, okay, I'm a buyer. It's a buyer's market. This is a good thing. But here's where the problem comes. The reason it's a buyer's market or a seller's market is because of the volume of buyers or sellers. If there's not enough buyers, it becomes a buyer's market. If there's not enough sellers, it becomes a seller's market.
Correct.
So a lot of the people thinking, I really want to buy a place, a buyer's market sounds like a great time. And now they're waiting for some lever to switch. If rates come down, if inventory comes up in the disrespectful offer, whatever it is, that lever is going to trigger more buyers.
Exactly.
So if they're waiting for the thing that would make more buyers, the buyer's market goes away.
Exactly.
And so it's a window.
It's only a window. They're so short. I've been almost 30 years, 28 years. And I think I've really seen 2 or 3 buyer's markets. And typically they're short. Now the buyer's market for the GFC was 3 years. I get it.
Yep.
But that's not normal. You can go back 100 years and you won't see a 3-year buyer's market. They're usually 9 to 18 months. And they're really regional, right? Because I would argue the Northeast and the Midwest is still not a seller's market. But most of the country certainly is a buyer's market. And again, I'm willing to write lots of offers. That's the other thing that really annoys me about buyer's markets is to your point, Dion, people wait. They wait for the trigger, like the gun to sound. Oh, too late. Game's over. And second, people don't realize, Matt, you know this from sales. The money's in the follow-up. To your point,
Sure.
I'm going to have this call at 1:30 with Lennar. It probably doesn't go anywhere, but I got the guy's number. I'll try in 2 weeks. I'll try in 4 weeks. Hey, those 3 houses, they're still there. I can buy all 3. Let's do something.
Yeah, absolutely. I've bought a number of properties where I've made multiple offers and they ended up getting paid less because they waited.
Yeah.
Like those are my favorites. And I was like, I told you, should have taken my offer. Told you. But the key is just knowing your market, spending your time there, making sure, again, we talked about this a lot last night in a class that I did, was on the rent box, rents have adjusted in many, many, many areas. And just because you signed a lease 9 months ago for $1,900 doesn't mean that that's current market now.
Correct.
You better make sure that your rent box is up to date. You better make sure that you know exactly what stuff is renting for. Because if you don't, your math will be off. And if it's off a couple $100 on a duplex on each unit, now that's $400. That's likely your profit. That's probably going to take you from
for sure.
12 or 13% return down to like a 5 or 4% return.
Yeah. Good
People
advice.
need to be looking at that rent side of things because we are absolutely seeing rent softness. We're not seeing these massive reductions. We're not doing these big move-in specials, but we absolutely have seen softness where somebody was like, we've worked it to turn into like a 2-year lease. Hey, if you'll do $100 off, I'll do 2 years. I was like, if you do a 2-year, I'll take $50 off. Yeah, I guess I'll do that. Freaking perfect. I'll give you $1,200 to be there for 2 years with no turns. And then at that point, now it's home for you. You're not going to leave after that. You're going to be there for much longer.
And that proves how it's market specific. Do you remember off camera what I said was going on with the tenant in my area?
Yeah.
She reached out and said, I would love to do 2 years. And I said, well, yeah, with rent control, we would do it, 7% increase for 2 years. And she said, yeah, that's no problem. Because the rents are so much pushed because that's like unique to Washington state. The year rent control came in, rents have gone up 30 or 40%. Every time somebody has a turnover, they add $1,000 and they just say, I'll let it sit empty until somebody gets in there because I'm locked in now. So I'm benefiting from that across all of the tenants that the area went up so high that renewals, even only at 7% increase, tenants are far below what they would get if they move now.
Yeah. Rent control that typically, as it always has, it ends up hurting the people it was supposed to help as it plays out. Right. At the end of the day, Dion, you're, what a lot of people want to do. Again, you wrote this amazing book here for folks, Financial Freedom for the Lazy Person. So I just want to remind folks, What is the process, Dion, you're going to be going through? Because in a previous video, you talked about you're just about to go shopping in the next couple of months. So what does go shopping mean to Dion?
Well, so there's a couple of steps to the process. The first thing is Matt nailed it. Look, so I almost had a turnover. Tenant decided to look around at rents and said, "Oh, nope, whatever the rent increase
I'm
is,
staying.
I'm gonna stay. Please, just let's do that." Turns into a couple of years, but I'm going to do a detailed rent study on the areas that I'm looking in to make sure that when I run my numbers, I have current, accurate data, and then plan on flat or 5 to 10% reduction in rents over the next couple of years, so that I know that if I'm planning a purchase, this is what my numbers would actually look like. I'm not going to do one of the syndication mistakes of buy it today. It went up 10% last year. It's going to go up 10% next year. And that's how they're on their face right now.
Yeah.
So it's a rent study. Two of the markets that I'm looking at are kind of new. They were that expansion for the remote workers that I was looking at. So I'm actually not going to do driving for dollars. I'm going to do driving for knowledge.
There you go. I like that.
Where would I walk at night here and be comfortable or not?
Yep.
So this is a couple of months thing. So start to finish, it's reach out to the agents that I have worked with. So if you have new agents because of that National Association of Realtors lawsuit, they're probably going to have you sign an exclusivity agreement, where I have the existing relationship where I'm just going to call all of them and say, "Hey, I'm in the market now. This is what I'm looking for. Here's my criteria. Just send me what you have. I'll start digging through it. I'll start running deals. I'll set a timer of about a month where, unless a deal is just ridiculous,
right?
Like I should jump on. I'm setting a timer of for a month. I won't make any offers. I'm going to spend that month watching what sits, doing the rent study, because the rent study is not a snapshot.
Right.
It's not go to Rentometer. It's not go look at BAH or Section 8. It's what sits, what gets relisted lower, what disappears and comes back significantly higher because they got too much demand. And that takes a couple of weeks to a month to figure out. And then as I'm running the numbers, the math matters and everybody will focus on that. For me, that's about, I want to say it's 10% of if it's a good deal or not. I have to get it right. I don't just want to get close. The math's got to be right. Which might be even just a 5 or 7% return, because I have to find out what averages. I don't have correct. I'm going to buy if I hit this. I have to learn what area average is currently in where I'm looking. Absolutely. And then I want to look for ones that beat it, because I'm not in growth mode. In growth mode, I took some that kind of matched it. Like they got the area average. They're not a bad deal. That, because it wasn't a buyer's market at all. And so then I'll look at that, but then I'll look at the physical aspects of the properties before I start making offers. And I'll think, okay, how many other boxes does it check off? Does it have washer dryer, pet friendly fenced yards, lots of parking? The layout is as similar as you can get a rental to look or feel like a single family house. The less tenant turnover you're going to have, and the more demand you're going to have when rents do soften. And so with that mentality in mind, that'll be the process. So it isn't going to be, I know my market, that math looks good, make an offer. It's going to be of these ones that have the math doesn't look bad, which one checks off enough of my desired boxes? Because the boxes, to me, I don't want to say they're more important than the math, but they are as important than the math. I would rather own a less producing rental that was going to have less turnover, was going to keep tenants longer, and was going to have less issues.
Yeah. Like it. Dion, where can people find you?
Right here on YouTube, Dion Talk Financial Freedom. And no wholesalers, do not send me any deals. You're all insane. All of your properties cost 3 times what I can find on the MLS.
Matt, closing thoughts on where they can find you?
Yeah, I mean, we closed on a deal last week. It's always nice when you buy something for $182,000 and you know that it's worth a whole lot more. And the bank is like, well, I just hope it appraises. And I was like, don't worry, it's going to appraise.
It'll appraise.
And then the appraisal comes in at 235, and you realize that you just had $54,000 worth of equity, and that you probably know more than your banker.
There you go.
No offense, Eric. But it just is what it is. But we've got 2 more that we're closing on. We've got 2 more. Nice. We got another one that we're closing on next week. And believe it or not, that's got about 10% equity in it, based on what the appraisal was. And then the other deal is pretty much at market, but it actually, it is my revenge purchase. And we'll explain that. Yeah. Basically, long story short was I bought in that building. It was a commercial building with commercial condos. Sure. I bought one and I said, hey guys, I have all these contractor experiences, and basically, and I can get stuff done for a lot less money, probably 2/3 what you're used to paying. And I got pat on the head. That's nice.
Huh. Nice, cute boy.
Congratulations.
Yeah, good job.
Congratulations on your unit. And then the people that didn't do that to me, I bought their units behind the back of the other people's units, and now I own the entire board. So you guys can suck it. And I'm gonna buy the last couple of units. There's 2 units left. I close on one next week. The other guy has no idea that I'm the buyer.
Oh, that's funny.
And so it's awesome. And so I'm just going to send him a letter and just say, hey, just wanted to, welcome myself to the building and good to see you. And they'll be like, what is this note? I just bought the unit upstairs too. You're done.
You're done.
So you're the last one. And PS, by the way, I'm not making one improvement on this building ever. Ever. Because you know why? I'm the board. I have to sign off on it. It's
there
never
you go.
happened.
Where can they find you?
9 p.m. Thursday nights, doing fun things like that and teaching people how to do fun things like that. Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern time. And we're going to talk about big time this week is going to be vacancy rate and how we got slammed with 15 empty units and we've had to fill those. How well did we do?
Real life stories. Love it, guys. Take care of yourself. Have a great week.
Thanks, Mike.
Ciao.